Okay, thank you all for joining us on what turned out to be a rather wet Monday, but you've got through the floods, so thank you for being here. I was asked, why are we on a weekday? Well, we were on a weekday last time, and it increased the numbers and gives us a little bit more space rather than squeezing in after a Sunday service. We might decide to go back to after a Sunday service if we think it works better, but we got a very good response to having this during the week, rather than people waiting for their lunch and trying to get them from the beer house with their coffee mug back over here was a bit of a challenge. So thank you for being with us, and let us open in prayer. Dear Lord, we thank you for gathering us here this evening, for helping us to be here to deliberate the business of our parish, to give thanks for all that St. Peter's means to so many people. We pray that we may be open to be led by your Spirit, that all our discussions will be for the benefit of expanding your kingdom in this place. So we dedicate our meeting to you and to our future as a loving parish in this place. Amen. We pray in the words that Christ has taught us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thank you. This is split into two parts. It's called the Vesture meeting, followed by the annual Parochial meeting. But we will have the apologies and assume they're for everything. Yeah, can you use the mic?
Okay. Right.
Stick it under your nose.
Apologies from Kit and Marilyn Siddon-Smith, David and Glenys Poole, David and Pip Manning-Fox, Arthur Siddall, Fiona Martin, Jill Holroyd, Sue and Patrick Parks, Joanne Dean, Peter Davis, Mark Andrews, Janice Crawford, Michael Pitts, Sheena Edwards, and Liz Ward. I would say that Liz and David are hoping to join on Zoom.
Live stream, yeah.
The live stream. So we might take those as being present rather than absent.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you very much. I assume I should have asked before we started, but did everybody pick up the paperwork as you come in the door? Yeah, if anybody needs it, you can slip out and get it. So the first is the minutes of the Vesture meeting, which is basically the first page. Now, as you can see, it was held on a Monday in church and on Zoom. And I remember we had a very good attendance because everybody was still locked up. Everybody happy that I signed those as an accurate record of that part of the meeting? Anybody against? Okay, so moving on to election of church wardens for the year 2022 to 2023.
Right. We have Sarah Gorman, proposed by Paul McHenry and seconded by Sheena Edwards, and Jill Holroyd, proposed by Paul McHenry and seconded by Sarah Gorman.
Thank you very much. Those are the two elections. Is everybody in agreement? Yes. Anybody against? Perfect. Thank you very much. And thank you to them both for standing. I will get to my moment where I will thank the outgoing church warden. So that has not been forgotten before anybody jumps to their feet and thinks I've made a mistake. Okay, thank you. St. Peter's Formby Educational Trust report is in, we are saving paper, so it's on the back of your agenda. It's quite brief. The Vicar and Church Wardens are ex officio the trustees for the 2015 Trust. The trustees continue in their work of managing property comprising of the church hall and the adjacent school cottage, plus capital and investments, and supporting local schools and young people under the age of 25 living or working in Formby. They welcome applications for assistance for those who qualify under the terms of the trust. And the following donations were made by the trust in 2021, which was grants to Trinity St Peter's School, our uniformed organisations, to Formby Division Girl Guiding, and to Formby High School. Anybody any questions on that report? We do continue to look for applications. For instance, the last trust meeting that we had, we have supported now Woodland School. I have Freshfield School coming here for a talk next week, so I will speak to them. But there is funds, so if you know young people under 25 who are possibly doing an educational trip, like we've supported the Scouts when they go on the World Jamboree. I remember we supported Ollie O'Donnell, who went to, I want to say Malaysia, but I'm not sure. Yeah, on an educational trip with school. So those kind of things, plus organisations like the Girls Brigade, like Cubs, Scouts, the primary schools in the area. So if you are aware of, especially as fuel costs, etc., go up, the organisations will start feeling it. So we are happy to consider grants, and we do have the money, and that is what it's there for. So do keep an ear out, and if anybody wants to discuss it, please let me know. Thank you. So then moving on the next page of the minutes, it's the minutes of the annual parochial meeting of the 24th of May 2021. Are you happy that I sign those minutes as an accurate record of our meeting? Anybody against? Sorry, I should have just kept them, shouldn't I? Thank you very much. I didn't see any matters arising from the minutes, but okay. Report on the electoral roll. David Manning Fox is our electoral roll officer, but is away, but has given his report to Anne.
Right. At the 2021 APCM, the total number on the electoral roll was 188. During this year, there have been 11 names removed, 1 deceased, 10 moved. In addition, there have been 11 additions, 6 resident in the parish and 5 non-residents. Therefore, the total number on the electoral roll remains unchanged at 188. 120 resident and 68 non-resident.
It's very tidy, isn't it, really? Okay, thank you. Any questions on the electoral roll? The electoral roll is visible on the sound cupboard if anybody wants to have a look, or if they're concerned they're not on it, or would like to encourage somebody to be on it. Okay, Anne, it's still you. Election to PCC.
Right, there are 5 vacancies on the PCC. Sorry, 5 vacancies on the PCC for 3 years. Joanne Dean was proposed by Sarah Gorman and seconded by Sheena Edwards. Paul McHenry was proposed by Steve Edwards and seconded by Mark Andrews. Anne Cotsworth was proposed by Mark Andrews and seconded by Jill Holroyd. Andrew Grenier was proposed by Shirley Fisher and seconded by Tricia Barrett. And Vicky Hall was proposed by Anne Cotsworth and seconded by Cliff Cotsworth.
Thank you very much. Everybody in agreement with these elections? Yeah. Very sudden. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. As we didn't have to do any votes, we do not need results of elections as such, so there we go. Okay, so my address, few words from me. The respect is incredible. Okay, well, this last year has been eventful in so many ways. At several points we did feel life was getting back to normal, but the pandemic surges meant that life was still very unpredictable. Christmas and Holy Week services were disrupted with an extra surge of cases. But the Easter Day service, I must say, was an absolute joy, as it felt that everyone had suddenly come out of hibernation. We had a full church and 44 children in Sunday club. Having several services on a Sunday, though, has meant that those who are still feeling vulnerable have the opportunity to worship in smaller congregations, and I know a number of people who have chosen to do that. This has been a frustrating time, but I believe as a parish we have managed well due to the amazing team that we have who have worked so closely together. Of course, this year is our 275th anniversary of the consecration of our church, and the 275 committee have been working on the event since before the pandemic. They are one of the most easygoing, supportive and productive committees that I think I have ever been involved with, and that doesn't mean that the standing committee isn't also wonderful. But considering the scale of the programme of events, I think they are doing an incredible job. We started with the organ demonstration concert, then the Heritage Week, and thank you to David Holroyd and Nick Philpott for heading up those events. Both resulted in people coming into our church who have never been in here before. And the resounding comment has been how welcoming everyone is. This is so very important because the celebrations this year are not simply us patting ourselves on the back for our past successes, but showcasing that we are a vibrant, welcoming, caring and worshipping community. And it's not by accident that the last two events of our year of celebration are a Vision Day, and I'm delighted that we have the expertise of Stephen Lyon, who will facilitate that day as we look forward. And also a Christmas Tree Festival, which will welcome lots of different charities and will help them raise funds, therefore us looking outside ourselves. Those who might be wondering who Stephen is, he's the one that's normally sitting over there with Ted, and he has a fund of information and used to work in the Anglican Communion and Lambeth Palace. So he has a wealth of knowledge and experience of the churches throughout the country and beyond. He's been coming to this church since Easter before last. This year needs to be a major foundation stone as we journey together into the future. A living community is one that constantly develops and adapts, and that is what I believe we are and what we can become better at being. We have so many ways of connecting with people, and we need to use them to stay fresh and to be open to where the Spirit wants to lead us. It was actually when I was discussing the Vision Day with Stephen that he commented on the number of avenues that we have for people to come into St. Peter's, which he felt was quite unique, through Haribo, through Little Fishies, through the different organisations, through the live stream, through the services we have, whereas a lot of churches just have the Sunday service as a way of engaging with people. So it is very interesting to hear somebody else's view on what we've been doing. For the Spirit to lead us, this will take trust and at times courage, as to grow and develop means at times leaving our comfort zones, but ultimately we will flourish in God's love in our parish, as a community and beyond, as I think of our continued partnership with the school and the Women's Project in Kalula, Uganda, who we do hope to revisit again when pandemics permit us to do so safely. The next 275th events are the last night of the proms and the Flower Festival and Art Exhibition. And they are times for everyone to invite friends and neighbours. And this is a year of invitation and an opportunity to be visible in our community. A major area that has developed over, I'd say, the past 5 years is our commitment to be a parish that gives training opportunities to those feeling called to ministry. I'm so encouraged about how great you are as a parish when it comes to having people amongst us who are exploring their calling. It's not every parish that understands what this means. To help people experience ministry, to be encouragers, to warmly welcome someone, even for a short time, into our parish family. In the past year, we've had Matt Parks with us as part of his reader training. We've had Lily Nelson as part of the discernment process for ordination. And while we said sad farewell to our curate, Simon Macaulay, he says that he has no regrets about his time here in St. Peter's and thoroughly enjoyed a lot of it. It helped him discern that ordained ministry in a parish was not for him. And Simon is now very happy, and I am still in regular contact with him. And that is part of a curacy and any initial training posts that people have for any career, whether it's teaching, whether it's in the ministry, whatever. And he did so, he made that decision in a very safe environment here in St. Peter's. This year we welcome for his final year of curacy Gordon Mccloud, who had been on placement with us, many of you will remember, and he will finish his training since his own training incumbent retired just after he was priested. You cannot underestimate the importance of the influence that this has on people's lives, and I am glad that a commitment has been made for us to continue to do this, because it is a huge benefit not only to the people who come amongst us, but also to us, as we gain from so much from those who do come. Last year I talked about the diocese focusing on 4 missional priorities, and I believe we have strengthened in these areas: introducing people to Jesus, deepening discipleship, developing Christian leaders, and working for justice. These are areas that the PCC will refer to in the decisions and planning that they make. The pandemic did encourage us to move quickly on plans for live streaming, and this is something we plan to keep doing each Sunday. The main morning service can have anything between 50 and 120 views, and many of these will be couples watching together, or indeed families. This has been a connection with those who are unable to attend on a Sunday. It could be due to illness or mobility issues. There are still those feeling vulnerable around COVID, those with young families who might not be able to get to us every week. It has been a connection with the care homes and with those who have moved away. It has also proved invaluable for new people, because they can see what we are like before they have the courage to come through the door. I don't know whether it's a good thing or not, but one new family that I was talking to at the Haribo service yesterday have been watching us since Christmas, and because they knew they were moving to Formby, they wanted to find a church to join, and their story is not unique, and they're certainly joining us and have attended the last couple of Haribo services, which again, as I say, is a great introduction for families. Judith and Caroline do an amazing job with the young children, and there is always at least 50 and more attending the Haribo services. The live stream, I think, has been very important. I only had a conversation this afternoon where a church has decided that people just need to come to church, whereas we have realised that it is a unique congregation extension that we have through the live stream, which is why I will welcome them at the beginning of a service and acknowledge them when we all say the Lord's Prayer together. So I think it's something to be cherished. Another result of the pandemic is that we've not been sharing the chalice, and I feel it may be time to bring the chalice back. But this would be optional, so if anyone prefers to just have the wafer, that is absolutely fine. It is a personal choice. My thinking is that when you come up to receive, there will be a chalice at each side, so you can either stop to receive the wine or continue to your seat. But what I want to know now is how many think that they would receive the wine. I'm going to ask for a show of hands, because obviously if nobody is going to, then there's no point me positioning 2 people to stand there holding a chalice. Can you just, as I say, it is a personal choice, but can you just give me a very quick show of hands of those who would actually take the chalice? And don't look around. Okay. That's fine. That is enough for me to make that decision. Thank you very much. The other growth area has been the number receiving house communions, as I presently 15 on that list. And I thank Tricia Shaw and Peter Davies for their help with that. Again, that is quite an unseen ministry, but is a crucially important connection with those who are unable to get to church. So Peter and Tricia are helping with that list, and Gordon is looking forward to doing so as well. And of course, we are still playing catch up with weddings, as some couples now are on their third or fourth date, but I'm glad I will get them all married off this year. I think we've caught up on the baptisms at this stage. I want to finish by saying thank you to a few people from a personal level, and I think also on your behalf. Paul ends his 4 years as church warden, and to say those years have been eventful would be an understatement. Paul has coped with both family and personal illness and a national pandemic in those years, but this has never lessened his commitment to the role of church warden and his dedication to our parish. I want to thank Paul most sincerely on my behalf and on your behalf for his kindness, his wisdom and his sense of humour. It has been a wonderful time to have him as church warden over these years, and Paul, we can't say thank you enough. Sarah, I think Paul would agree, has been a great partner in crime. And again, to have someone who is dedicated to the growth and ministry of St. Peter's and basically just gets it of what we're trying to do is such a massive bonus. It has been a wonderful team, so Sarah, thank you. We are so blessed in our church wardens, and I really do thank them from all of us. I also thank Urban and Anne for their roles that they play between the accounts and the minutes, and I'll say more about Urban later on, but thank you to you both. I could thank so many more people. I want to thank our lay chair, Steve, for all his hard work on our behalf, from sticking his arm down drains, to digging plots, sorting alarms, operating the live stream, and much, much more. Steve, we really do appreciate all that you do. But I could go on and on and on thanking people, because I'd like to thank Caroline, our parish administrator, those who serve on so many rotas, the sacristans, the magazine committee, those who serve in the PCC and all the subcommittees, the counters. It could go on because there are so many people involved in making St. Peter's keep ticking. And please never feel that your job is unseen. It is really appreciated. I want to thank to David Holroyd, our Director of Music, whose dedication to St. Peter's means he sat in London on the live stream. He better be, or I'm looking like a dope looking at a camera. We are truly blessed to have David as part of our team, and for a vicar to have someone like David who understands liturgy, is creative, supportive, and has a real sense of worship is an incredible blessing, and one that I do not take for granted. Not only does he play, but he preaches. He is on the intercession rota, arranges concerts and the 275 publicity, and forgives me when I ask him for hymns to the tune of Match of the Day. What more can I ask for? Lastly, Ted, thank you. I really could not do what I do without your support, your encouragement, and your cooking. I would probably starve otherwise. To still be able to share in ministry together is very special, but also to have someone to say it is time to go on holiday, to turn the computer off, or just to have some us time is also crucial when you're in ordained ministry. So thank you. But I think I can also say thank you to Ted from all of you for your ministry in St. Peter's, from Bible studies to Voices in the Churchyard to the Uganda Committee, to your skills with a chainsaw, and by the way, you're preaching this Sunday. I will repeat what I finished saying last year and say to thank you to everyone who is part of St. Peter's in whatever way. This is a very special place to be involved in, both as a vicar and I believe as a parishioner. So thank you to everyone who makes it that special place. Thank you. From me to safeguarding. Okay, safeguarding. This has to be reported each year, that the PCC has complied with the duty to have due regard to the House of Bishops safeguarding policy and practice guidance, Church Representation Rules 9 2A, and there were no safeguarding concerns reported since the last APCM. We do thank our parish safeguarding officer Dave Johnson for his time and expertise, and we have also appointed a second recruiter to help Dave in, and Pete Belford has agreed to do that, and the PCC have appointed him. And to say that all those requiring DBS have an up-to-date DBS and have completed their training, which is great. So thank you to Pete and to Dave and for everybody for complying with safeguarding. It's a very serious matter, safeguarding, and there are no shortcuts that can possibly be taken. So that's the safeguarding. Treasurer's report.
Right, this is my report for 2021. I think this is about my 20th report, something like that. So whilst other people can get out after 4 or 5 years. However, you should all have a copy of the annual report. If not, you'll find they are online as well. Each year we prepare a budget plan, which is approved by the PCC, and our performance is regularly monitored throughout the year at various meetings of the committees. Any variation in the budget is addressed and actions are taken. Our budgeted figures for last year were adversely impacted by the coronavirus, resulting in a restriction of normal activities of the church, the parish hall and the beer house. We have been therefore having to use our rainy day reserves to continue to pay our way. The voluntary income, however, was underpinned by the parish giving scheme and has maintained a remarkable resilience during the year. If I just look at the expenditure that we incurred in 2021, I'll just simplify the figures a little bit. We spent on repairs and maintenance £35,800, and the major expenditure items were the roof repairs at £23,600, Vesture windows £3,000, live streaming £2,000, incumbents board £800 or nearly £900, and the church door having been refurbished at £800. On the churchyard outside, we spent just over 10,000, which included boundary wall repairs of 4,000, tree planting of 3,000, and our normal gardening contractors cost us 2,300. Our parish share, which we paid to the diocese, was 88,000, which included a rebate from the diocese of 4,300. And this is the way, parish share is the way that the Church of England pays for mission. It contributes towards the cost of ministry, both in our own parish and other churches less fortunate than ourselves. The amount received in planned giving was 80,000, plus an additional 3,000 on the collection plate. And we also received gift aid tax of 25,000. A large number of our givers use the parish giving scheme, which allows direct debit payments to be made from their bank. The scheme provides many benefits and supports an annual review of the giving. We therefore encourage all givers to take up this system of giving. Last year, a card reader was introduced to enable contactless donations. This has brought more diversity to our giving, enabling donors to make immediate online payments without using cash or using a cheque. The total received in 2021 was 5,400. Due to the impact of COVID-19, in 2020, a fund was set up, the Horizons Emergency Fund, to assist with the pastoral needs of the parish. In 2021, income was 811, expenditure 921, leaving funds at the end of the year of 684. However, our major fundraising activity was for the Uganda appeal, and we received a magnificent total of nearly £10,500, and we expended 6,000 on this appeal. It's ongoing, is this project, and there are more developments over the coming months. Additionally, an appeal was made to assist the Ugandan school children, and 2,500 was raised, along with further funds of 335 at Christmas for the children's appeal. A total of just over 9,000, which is approximately 10% of our voluntary income, was donated to many local, national and overseas charities during the year. And in addition, £1,000 was set aside for the Uganda project. We are fortunate at St Peter's to have substantial trust funds which have provided a regular stream of income over the years. The income has enabled us to undertake repairs and maintenance to the church and church properties. However, the trust fund capital or income is not available for us to use towards the payment of our parish share. Our planned stewardship campaign was cancelled due to the pandemic. This campaign is now scheduled for 2023. We do need to increase our voluntary income to meet our growing commitments, especially our parish share, which is set to rise by 15% per annum this year and next. Our major challenge is to increase our voluntary income by a figure each year to cover current costs, including especially the parish share. Our budget for this year projects a deficit of £1,000 per week. So that's something to tackle in the future by the parish scheme. However, I would say that the commitment during the pandemic has been magnificent. I'd just like to finish with a personal thank you to all those who helped, including the church wardens, Paul and Sarah, Steve Edwards, Mike Fletcher, Andrew Grenier, Caroline in the office, and of course, not forgetting Anne, our vicar. Thank you.
I will ask if anybody has any questions. It may be that the question, the answer will come to you later in the week, because these accounts, as you can see, are extremely detailed. So it would be unfair to expect Irvin to be able to answer questions at the drop of a hat. But what I do promise is that we will get you the answer if it's not one that we can answer tonight. Sue?
It's not a technical question. It's more, what's the situation with our heat and light contracts? I know the local schools have been absolutely slammed because they were not in contract. Have we got a contract and how is it up for?
I'm going to use the mic.
The contracts, I think we've got several, but the first will come for review in September, then it comes again about November. We are a fixed price at the moment.
You just hold the mic a bit closer.
Sorry. Yeah, we've got 2 contracts, maybe 3, I'm not quite sure. I don't personally deal with it, but the review is September and I think October. So we're a fixed price contract at the moment, but we can expect a huge increase in prices after that. We'll have to see.
Yeah, we took out this contract with Oxford Energy, so but obviously it's coming to an end at some point.
Yeah, okay, thanks, Sue. John, you have your hand up?
Yes, I'm just wondering whether we were approaching the time for an effort to increase giving.
Yeah. that would be the hope with the stewardship campaign early next year, that we basically will do our best to help people who aren't au fait with accounts, because I know a lot of you do know what you're looking at when you're looking at accounts, but there are those who don't. So a part of it is we will be working on how to explain to people exactly what it costs to run the parish. We had a new person on the cooperative on the fabric committee, and he was quite surprised how much. So we'll be working on that to let people know exactly how much is the parish, what does it pay for, how much does it actually cost to run a parish, and then we'll go into, and the stewardship campaign will also be about talents as well as, which is very important, that we keep up the road. We have a lot of new people, I would imagine you have noticed, but we have a lot of new people who have come in the last while, and part of the challenge is integrating them into the parish as well. So yes, that will be part of the campaign. John?
Just a small item on page 7, inputting resources, 2A, bottom 3. There's an item there that says grants, BCNS, HMRC, £1,308. Can you explain what that is?
Okay, the grants on page 7, the first grant of £1,000 is what the parish get every year from the diocese, because I'm the area dean. It's supposed to compensate you for me being the area dean. So if I stop being the area dean, that £1,000 will stop. Okay, so that's what the first grant is, so I can answer that one. Grants from the HMRC, that was the tax that we got back, Steve, wasn't it? From the roof, yeah.
We got tax back from the roof.
So when we did the work on the roof, we could apply for the VAT back, and that's what we got. Yeah. So we are looking at every possible way of trying to save money, but yeah, the other 1,000 is because of my role as area dean. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. We need to adopt the accounts. Can I have a proposer? Steve and Keith will set. Is everybody in agreement? Yeah. Anybody against? Okay. I'd like to say a huge thank you on my behalf and on your behalf to Irvine, because this is not straightforward. I've seen other parishes' accounts. I've seen the kind of figures that they deal with, and this is just does not compare. So to be able to keep on top of all this, to make sure that when we have jobs done, people are paid quickly, and to be able to work with the accountants who have nothing but praise for Irvine and the way he copes with these accounts. So on behalf of all of us, Irvine, thank you for your patience and your dedication. I'd also thank Andy Grenier, because as you would be aware, Mike Fletcher for many years was dealing with stewardship, and Andy has been willing to step in to basically deal with an area that we hope to be able to then expand out. Isn't that right, Andy? But we needed Andy to totally understand what Mike has done over a long period of time. He did a super job, but he had the time to do it himself, and very few people have that kind of time. So Andy's working it all out. So Andy, thank you for doing that. And I think Mike's involvement has probably come to an end. He was willing to...
Yeah, there's one more part just to help with the thank you letters for last year. He's working with me, and then
yeah. So I think we can thank Mike for his continued involvement. He could easily have moved and said, I'm off, but he didn't. He has continually been there to give advice and to check that everything's been okay. So I think we can record our thanks to Mike. Okay, Mr. Church Warden, you need a mic.
Will you send it to me?
Yes.
Paul, can you step down one step?
Do you want my best side?
You're rubbing it in that he's stepping down here.
Yeah. Yes, this is Fabric report, which is one of the most important items on the agenda. And before we start in detail, could I give a generic thanks just across the parish? The number of people involved with fabric in either a small way or a big way is incredible. And this is why our church functions the way it does, because so many people put so much into it, and it is greatly appreciated. I would name individuals, but I'd get told off because I'd miss somebody out and that would be wrong. So thank you to all. The Deanery Diversity Statement was dealt with, and the ways in which the Fabric thought they could improve things was to make hymn boards more visible from under the balcony, bigger numbers perhaps, test the loop system more frequently, advertise the fact that we have large print hymn books and service booklets available. They're the big books at the back. Steps to the chancel could cause issues for some. Current format of distribution is working for those unable to climb the steps, and communion can still be brought to the pews. And I think with Anne mentioning the wine, it appears we're going to stay with this format at the front. I would say that's the plan. So that's dealt with. Yes, the accumulation of chairs at the back to be reduced to make more room for mobility buggies, wheelchairs and prams. Part of our success, I feel, is that we get lots of young families coming in and somewhere to park those mini taxis that they have these days. It's going to be a problem, but we're coping. But we've taken some of the chairs away. Cost saving, very important. To keep 2 sanctuary candles burning, that's the red one over there, and it's nothing to do with the allegiance of our vicar, the fact that it's red. Once a year, costs in the region of £350 per year. So we replaced the 7-day candles with LED equivalents, and this will save a few bob. We've asked the heating engineer to quote for internal remote control, an internal remote control for the system. I don't. We've had it back yet? No. Secondary double glazing was discussed for the nave windows, but we're unsure how this would look, and we could have trouble getting agreements from the English Heritage, the Georgian Society, the Victorian Society, or the Chancellor, and Tom, Dick and Harry as well, by the looks of it. So that's in abeyance. Electrical. Remind me what PAT is. Portable appliance. Oh, well, that's been completed. Additional sockets for the contactless machine, you now know, are at the back. Now, the 5-year electrical testing is due. Our preferred electrician has closed his business. That's shocking. So we have found another electrician to complete the work, whenever that happens. Storage. Vicar's vestry. Better be careful here. The drawers in the vicar's desk, where the church linen is stored, have been repaired. So that's good. Moving on. And a new storage cabinet has been installed for cleaning equipment. And it's safely locked up, and the key is out of reach for little ones. For some big ones as well, to be honest. But on an eco front, we've got eco-friendly paper towels, toilet paper and kitchen rolls, and these have all been purchased, you'll be pleased to know. So next time you wipe whatever, you'll be doing the environment the world of good. Now, on a more serious note, as you know, we have had great trouble with ingress of water. and work carried out in 2021 did not prove to be the solution. So unfortunately there's still signs of damp on the east and west nave walls, and plans to rectify these issues are scheduled for next year. So it could be digging deep again, folks, I'm afraid. It's not going to be cheap. So I'll move on quickly. Graves in the Garden of Remembrance. Work has been completed on several gravestones to make them stable and safe. I'm going to struggle with this one. Trees. A full arboricultural survey. Arboricultural, yeah, thank you. Has been carried out on the perimeter trees, and this has identified issues, including one urgent problem. We are seeking a quote for the urgent task and will consider the less urgent tasks later in the year. You'd be surprised how expensive it is, and as you know, money doesn't grow on trees, so it's even worse. Health and safety inspections, the general ones, have been finished. I don't know what happened, but they're all finished anyway. In general, everything else is ongoing and in hand, such as fire extinguisher testing, general fabric repair, kneelers, hangers, etc., general upkeep of property, security, and fire alarm maintenance, and it goes on and on. It never stops. And this lad in front keeps looking for different things to get involved with. And finally, Peterhouse School, Southport, and Trinity St. Peter's have been using our conservation area for a forest school weekly. They come in and they rummage round and experience the outdoors, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, many will attend church and not realise what goes on behind the scenes. And we are lucky at St. Peter's to have a brilliant fabric committee who work very hard to ensure the church building is in good working order. And believe me, they do work hard. Of course, every good committee needs a motivated and informed leader. And we have that in Steve Edwards, and I make no apology for mentioning a name. And at this point, I must thank his wife, Sheena, for allowing him to devote so much time to the task. She really is an angel. Thank you all. We know the church is in good hands. A little bit selfish now. I might take this opportunity to wish my successor, Jill, all the very best for her tenure. I know how dedicated she is, and I have no doubt she will make an excellent church warden. So she has all my very, very, very best. And on a personal note, yes, Anne, it's true. This year 4 years have been, difficult. However, people like you have pulled us both through. And I'd like to thank you very much indeed for having the privilege of being your church warden for 4 years. And I look forward to serving you in other capacities for the next 44 years. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Paul. And there's me thanking you for having a good sense of humour. Okay, a report from Deanery Synod, or from the Deanery. This I won't take too long, but it's good to know what is happening and what I am basically in charge of as Area Dean. We have 14 churches in our Deanery, in Formby, Hightown and Altcar, Aintree, Maghull Melling, and 3 churches in the L23 group, which is All Saints in St Frieswide, St Nicholas's Blundell Sands and St Luke's in Crosby. We presently have a quota of 10 full-time clergy, but one of those posts is actually made up of 2 half-time posts. We have presently 3 vacancies: the Vicar of All Saints of St Frieswide, the Team Rector of Maghull Melling, and the half-time post in St Stephen's as Jan retired Sunday week ago. So we are now have 3 vacancies. There is another half-time post in Mccloud which we have suspended until we appoint a team rector, so that we're not paying parish share for a post that we reckoned we wouldn't fill this year. So we went from 10.5 to 10 to try and save everybody in the deanery a little bit of money. There are 3 self-supporting ministers. The posts include Dave Lowry, who is Storyhouse Cafe. He's a pioneer minister in Crosby Village and now has a Sunday congregation in St Michael's Church of England School. But they have the Storyhouse Cafe as an outreach. If you're ever in, they do a very nice lunch and excellent coffee, so do look out for them in the village. There is 1 curate in Mccloud, but not for much longer, who will be moving to us in July. And to be ordained this June is Julie Butcher from Hightown, and she'll be ordained to the self-supporting ministry and will serve her curacy in Holy Trinity, Formby. So basically we've 16 clergy, including 2 curates and 3 self-supporting ministers. New appointments are proving to be a little problematic. We had thought that All Saints and St Bride's Wives would have been snapped up very quickly, and Mccloud, but we have had to advertise more than once. There is a sense around that clergy, after having come through the pandemic in parishes, aren't quite in the right place to want to move just yet. That includes me, by the way. So, yeah, thank you, the one I paid earlier. So it is a bit of a demand, and for instance, Ted was in St Stephen's Hightown last Sunday to help out. So there is, and we will keep them in our prayers and our Sunday intercessions while those parishes cope with interregnums, and those of us involved in the interviewing process are doing our best to try and get the right vicars for them. The lay chair is Liz Chestnut, parishioner St Michael's Altcar, and the treasurer is James Patterson. He'll be retiring from that post at the end of this year, having done 8 years. The major project in the last year has been the parish share, and there was a consultation group set up. All 14 PCCs had a representative on that group. Ours was Andy. They reported back to their PCCs about a formula for a fair way of sharing out the amount required. The deanery is basically told by the diocese how much is required, and then the Deanery Mission and Pastoral Committee, along with the Synod, need to agree how that is divided out amongst the parishes. So this is what the consultation group is working on. Previous times, the diocese would just tell each parish what they wanted. So amazingly, that consultation group were wonderful. They got the agreement of all the PCCs, and it was passed unanimously at Deanery Synod, and they are to have all credit to them. There are many deaneries still struggling with this. It has resulted, though, in some parishes like ourselves paying more and others paying less, but that is being done on a gradual basis. For instance, Holy Trinity beside us, where there really you couldn't see much difference between us, we're paying for a long time 30 to 35,000 more in parish share every year than we were. And I think it's only fair to feel that that wasn't quite a fair system. So we have come through with that, and that is the formula for the next lot of years. And if you have any questions about that, please talk to Andy. We're our Children's Ministry Officer. We get great benefit from Caroline Collins. Does work across the deanery in most parishes, but she does enjoy coming here. The Eco-Deanery Group is working, and as a St Peter's PCC, we have agreed to sign up for the first cohort of the carbon neutral project. It will also open up the opportunity for us to get grant aid for any kind of surveys or anything like that we want to do. And not only is this part of our responsibility as Christians to the environment, but I don't think I'm being cynical, but it usually saves money as well. This is part of the issue, and Steve and I were at a meeting where we basically said, yes, we would save quite a bit of money on heating if we could put some kind of sensitive secondary glazing, but the Georgian Society, the Victorian Society, the English Heritage, the Chancellor are going to say no. So how can churches be how can you make us custodians to such a wonderful place if you're not going to actually help us afford to keep it in the way we would like to? So we are fighting that battle, and I think they certainly heard us that night. Yes, Paul mentioned the Deanery Diversity Group. There was a group set up in the Deanery with a statement. Our PCCs looked at it, Faith and Outreach have looked at it, Fabric have looked at it, to make sure that we are as welcoming as possible to a diverse group of people's needs, which is why we were wonderful at buying large print hymn books, but we then promptly didn't tell anybody we had them. We have large print magazines, but do we actually tell those who need them we've got them? So there's those sort of things that we have looked at and will continue to look at, that we are being as welcoming and as inclusive as we possibly can be. That was led by the Deanery. If you are interested in the work of the diocese, you can sign up for their weekly emailed bulletin. Just go to the Liverpool Diocese website and you can be added on to that. You will see a lot on Fit for Mission. That's the latest diocesan initiative in deaneries, but I am waiting to not be on the first or indeed second cohort of that. I'm just waiting to see how other deaneries get on with Fit for Mission before we start looking at rearranging anything. I'm very much of the mind that if it's working, leave it alone. So we will wait and see. But thank you. That is the Deanery report, and I'll be area dean for another 2.5 years, and that is it. So, thank you. Right. Anybody any questions about the Deanery? Okay. Appointment of an independent examiner. Irvin, would you like to do this?
Yeah, I'll propose Harriet Hughes.
Okay, he's proposed Harriet Hughes. Would somebody like to second that Harriet Hughes, Andrew Grenier? Everybody in agreement?
Yeah.
Brill, thank you very much.
Same ones, Harriet Hughes.
Yeah, same people.
Same people.
You have churches together. John has provided a report, so please take that away, have a look at it, and if you have any questions, please ask John or myself. And to say that on Sunday the 12th of June here in St Peter's, it's the last night of our Flower Festival, at 6:30 there is the Deanery Thanksgiving of Lay Ministry and Visitation. Visitation is where the church wardens are licensed and they legally have to attend. But it used to be that the sides people came, and I did ask the question, why were they attending when you weren't asking the PCC, or you weren't asking the people on the cleaning rota, or you weren't asking? So per Archdeacon thought, oh, right, okay. So now it is a Thanksgiving lay ministry. So I would just encourage you to come along as we give thanks for all the lay people who do so much in our parishes. And that will be the focus, along with encouraging our church wardens as they take on the role for the following year. So it is here in St Peter's on the 12th of June at 6:30. The 12th of June. Yeah. Sunday the 12th of June, last night of the Flower Festival. So it should... Yep. Yeah, no, it has. It's all changed. The legal trustees are the PCC. Sorry, John? Because the legal representation laws changed, and there was actually no legal reason why the sides people needed to be there. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to be a sides person unless you'd been there. So no, there wasn't. There's actually now no legal reason. Yeah, it was. No, it doesn't, because the sides, those on the sides rota are. Then you should have those who are cleaning the brass and cleaning. You know, it's. So no, there is actually no legal reason why the sides people need to be sworn in. So it's only the church wardens is the legal entity. 2020 church representation rules, which have been updated even since then. So, any other questions before we finish? John?
Yeah, back to Science Week.
Yeah.
Is what was just said the reason why there is no longer an item on the agenda for the appointment?
Yeah. It's now done at the first PCC meeting. So it's part of the change in the rules.
And who gets appointed? In what way is that? In what way are the people appointed? What happens?
They go through the PCC. So basically we have the list of those who are on the side's rota. So that list is basically presented to PCC. They can volunteer. It's as simple as that. So if you want to add somebody, we just report to the PCC that somebody has been added to the list, and it's minuted. It's a bit like if somebody is helping with communion, house communions, it is listed in the PCC that is happening. So.
I think it's very sad. Science Week have an important official function. I think what's happened diminishes the role that they have. And I think it's very sad that it's gone on that way.
Well, it's not us that's gone along. Yeah. Yeah, I think too. It was also sad that it was sad that the PCC were never involved, because they also play a very important role. So hopefully this way it encourages everybody in the ministry that they give to the parish. But yeah, all the rules have changed. Anybody else? Okay. Can we close by saying the grace together? The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, and the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us all evermore. Amen. Thank you very much. I told you it wouldn't go to extra time or penalties.
35.